What's up, party people? It's Chris with Profoto, and this is Geared Up. It's our weekly live broadcast where we talk about gear, we talk about lighting techniques, we break down setups, we have fun, we take your questions, just have a good time. Today, we're going to be talking about a new product launch that we just released yesterday called the Zoom Rod Small. It's this bad boy right here. It's a really cool light shaping tool because when you look at it, you go, all right, well, what does the thing even do? And in one of the videos I say it's not a traditional modifier. It's I jokingly call it a modifier to modifier, and that's because this piece of kit is supposed to be coupled with a softbox or whatever you want to couple it with, but primarily a softbox. And what it's going to allow you to do is take your softbox and change it from a direct softbox to an indirect softbox. And let me explain the difference between direct and indirect for you really quickly. So we have this 3-foot Octa, one of the new flip open softboxes. The way that most people are used to using a softbox is they take the light, they place it into the softbox, point the softbox at the subject, and they're shooting the light directly at the subject. This is traditionally the way that softboxes are used the majority of the time. An indirect softbox has some way of mounting the modifier to a stand or whatever, and it fires the light into the softbox and allows the light to hit inside and then bounce back out. Kind of the same idea that you're used to seeing with an umbrella with maybe a white or silver finish on the inside. So you're shooting the light into the modifier and then that light's coming back out. It is hitting the subject indirectly. So you are not directly firing the light at the subject. The light is going into the modifier and then back out of the modifier and illuminating the subject. Pros and cons. So an indirect light source, you are losing some light as it goes that way and then comes back this way. You're losing a little bit of light. The upside for it is you're cutting down on hot spots. So it's a really beautiful, even smooth light top to bottom all around, especially with something like an Octabox, because you're getting full coverage inside the softbox and shooting the light out. It's really lovely. Just the opposite for directly. So a direct is going to give you maybe a little bit more light output because that light is coming straight through. You are hitting it with 2 layers of diffusion for the most part. So some of that power gain could be mitigated by hitting 2 layers of diffusion. So you're going through, hitting the subject directly, but what could happen is potentially there could be a hot spot. Now, a lot of companies, including ourselves, have done things to minimize the hot spots by, second layer of diffusion. There's some things out there too that can kind of add an extra little circular area of diffusion to the front mask to knock it down some more. But this is a really cool modifier because not only are you getting a really nice even light, but if you use it a different way, a way that you're not used to using a softbox, you can actually get a lot more looks out of your softbox than traditionally. So before we get too deep into that, I'm going to show you how to set this thing up really quick just so you can have a reference on the Zoom Rod. And we'll talk about what makes this so cool as well. So first and foremost, the main thing that you're going to see is the Zoom Rod when you get it. Let's talk about how you're going to get it first. It comes with a nice carrying case. Mine's a little dirty because I've had it for a minute and I beat it up a lot. But it comes with a nice little carrying case. Just put it in the case for you to see. So when you fold it up, the bottom of the case is a little bit thinner, top's a little bit bigger, so put the bottom of the Zoom Rod in first. I always generally tend to hook something, so there we go. I know this is high serious stuff, showing you how to put something inside of a bag.
Is this product ready and available now?
Yes, the Zoom Rod is ready to rock and roll now. So you should be able to get it. So it comes in a nice bag, so when you pull it out of the bag, you'll see it and you'll be like, what do I do with this thing? First thing you want to do, put it on your light stand. Just like that. What's cool about this, now you'll notice that this product now stand mounts your light shaping tool. It stand mounts your softbox, which means it's taking all of the tension that a softbox traditionally puts on a light away from the light. It's now straight to the stand. What does that mean for you? Simple. You can use any softbox with any light. I have a 5-foot Octa I'm going to show you here in a minute. that you can use the B10, which we traditionally with the B10 would say don't use that because it might be a little bit too heavy. This takes care of that altogether. So we mount it to the light stand, and then we use this handle over here, just so you see. This handle right here loosens the tilt mechanism. So we're gonna loosen that up, lay it straight, and then this right here has another locking screw, and this allows you to take the front cage off. This is a big step, something to remember. This is the last thing that goes on after your modifier. So don't take it off and then flip it right back around and put it onto your light, because then you're gonna have to take it off again to put your modifier on. So this is where the magic happens. This little piece right here is 100 millimeters. It's the same size as the front of a Profoto flash head, like a B10 or a Pro head or a D3. 100 or an A2 with the click OCF adapter on it. So same size, 100 millimeters. That means you take your Profoto softbox, whatever you have that's 100 millimeters, snap it on, and clamp it down, just like you would anything else. So now you have your softbox in place. It's on that 100 millimeter mount. Here's where we take the cage and we put it back in place. Cool. So cage again has the rubber collar, 100 millimeters. So whatever you have that's 100 millimeter light goes in here. So if you have an A2, for example, with a click adapter, I've got the stand adapter removed from it. You can put an A2 inside here. And now your A2 is stand mounted inside of a large modifier. You could put the 5-foot octa here with the A2, and it's because the A2 is not supporting it, it's not a problem. You could go, like I said before, B10. So you have your B10 in there, slides right in, you can lock it down, stand support it. Here's something that's really cool. This thing is insanely robust. It's a very strong light shaping tool. I'm gonna twist this a little bit because I'm using the Pro 11 as a counterweight. You want to make sure if you're doing this with a heavier light like a B1 or a D2 or a really heavy light like the D3, like what I'm about to do, that you just have some counterweight on there. You just wanna make sure that you can hold it. But again, this can hold the weight of the Pro D3. I'm gonna lock it into place though this time, because last thing I need to do is drop my light. Oh, I didn't tighten that up. I left that loose. Pro D3, no problem. It's not creeping, it's not sagging. I mean, it's probably bending downward a little bit, but the tensioning system here on the back that holds it, if you could flip to the fifth camera. So you can see right here, this system's not having any problem holding it, and we're zoomed all the way out. We're zoomed all the way out with it. Here, I'll zoom it out even a little bit more just so you can see. Take it all the way kind of to the edge. So we're zoomed all the way out, plenty of counterweight, and the light's hanging out there. So the D3 at almost 10 pounds has no problem on this thing. So really, really cool stuff there. Let's take the D3 off, because that's not what we're gonna photograph with today. But like what I was saying, you could throw the diffuser back over the front of this thing and have a really lovely indirect softbox. But let's talk about the actual magic. Let's talk about what makes this thing unique and cool. So this now gives you the ability to take any Profoto softbox and make it indirect. So if you wanted a huge indirect octabox or a huge like 4x6 indirect rectangle, you just put it onto the Zoom Rod Small and you're ready to rock and roll. But say we don't go with the diffusion. Say we use this in a different way. The Zoom Rod will allow you to, kind of like what we talked about with the soft zoom, where you can utilize different portions of the softbox to get different light qualities. Same thing here. So because it's not quite as deep as the soft zoom, you can use the shorter zoom rod for this. The upside for that also is because the rod's a little bit shorter, if you're up high close to a ceiling, you don't have to worry so much about, you have more space to work as opposed to with the larger zoom rod. But if you're here, you're using more of the softbox, so you're getting a nice soft light. But the cool thing is you can zoom this in, and the more you zoom the light in, the less of the softbox you're using, the more hard, punchy light you're gonna get out of this. So you have the ability to, kind of just look at the easiest thing to do is probably gonna be looking at your modeling light and seeing how that light's hitting your subject, and just sit there and play with it. It's a really, really fun tool to play with, to kind of mix and match light and just get creative. On the side here, you have some reference points. So if you needed to kind of make a mark for where you've been in the past, there's a certain light you like, you have your 1, 2, 3, and your 4 here. You use this knob here at the top to tighten it down. So now you have everything locked into place. This will, not only does this zoom in and out, but if you need to turn or twist it or something like that, you can do that. So I don't know why you would need to, but just in case you did, you can also spin the zoom rod in place. And you also have a counterweight hook right here. So if you needed to, if you're starting to put a heavier softbox in there, or you wanted to put the counterweight on the actual zoom rod itself, you could do that right here. It's not a terrible idea. So, but again, a really simple light shaping tool, something again that modifies your current softbox to give you more looks than you would normally get out of a traditional softbox. And again, if you wanted to, if you wanted that nice indirect lighting look, that's my 5-foot octa. Wait a minute, that's my 4-foot octa. Sorry, I got diffusers everywhere. I am actually. Where did I set that diffuser down? Like I said, I've got diffusers absolutely everywhere because I've been ripping everything off to show whatever. We'll do it with a 5-foot octa here in a second.
Would you like me to shout out some questions?
Yeah, ask some questions.
Okay, can you show the difference between the direct and the reflected light?
Yeah, we're gonna take some photos here in just a second. So we are gonna show you what the light looks like between both. So, anything else?
So if it's any light that is a 100 millimeter mounted light?
Yeah, so any light with the 100 millimeter mount, the Profoto 100 millimeter mount, fits right onto that little socket. It's metal too. I know some people have asked, what is it made out of? It's pretty heavy duty stuff.
Someone was asking if it was a cork grip.
No, it is not a cork grip. It is a, I don't really know how to show you this up close, but it is the front cam. Yeah, I mean, let's go to the side cam. Let's see if I can show it. It's kind of a knurled. It's kind of hard to see. You can't really tell, but it's like this. It's the edges here are knurled around this piece right here, and it's a metal clamping mechanism. It's not a rosette, but it does tighten down pretty tight. So it's a metal on metal connection.
Cool.
And again, like I said, I've had the D3 on this thing. I mean, I just showed you the D3 on this thing, a 10-pound light with no light creep, which is really, really nice. So any other questions?
That looks like it for now.
Cool. So let's take some photos then.
Sure.
So, and then, so we're just going to do this stuff with the 3-foot octa just so I can show you the difference between direct and indirect light. Then we will flip over and I'll show you like the 5-foot octa and stuff like that, some of the cool things there. One of the things I did set my, now I'm like having a miniature panic attack because I set my.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for the diffusion panel for my 3-foot. Oh, you know what? I have a second one. What am I doing here?
If you have any questions, go ahead and
ask some questions.
We will answer away.
Yeah, I have a second 3-foot octa that I could grab the diffuser kit out of. Again, I've been throwing stuff. As you can see, I'm throwing stuff around the studio right now. There we go.
Okay, so it's an all metal unit.
It's all metal unit. Yep,
Yes.
Here we go. So here's my other 3-foot octa. So we'll use this one, the diffuser kit out of this one. We're back in business, baby. I've literally been throwing, just for this, I've been throwing diffusers everywhere. You can see I'm getting ready to toss the diffuser that I need again. All right, cool. So let's do this. So I'm going to take a shot before we go direct versus indirect. Let's take a couple of shots with the light zoomed in and zoomed out so you can see what that looks like. And I think that will show some other very cool things that this thing can do. It's not hard to adjust it in the air. If you're zoomed in, it can be, or I'm sorry, if you're zoomed out, so if the zoom rod position is out like this, you may have to kind of reach over here and grab the light, depending on how big your modifier is, and adjust up and down. But if you're zoomed out, or I keep saying it backwards, if you're zoomed in to where the rod is out further, it's much easier to kind of grab this and adjust it as you need. So we're gonna start zoomed in so I can adjust the light towards Kate's face, and then we will zoom it out. You ready to rock and roll?
Sure am.
Let's do it.
Out here?
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna back up just a hair so they can see how the light's gonna hit the background. So we're gonna go, yeah, like 3/4 length. So that leg position's great. Let's see. Cool. So, and that light is looking right at you? Or do I need to adjust it? Actually, I kind of want to come around this way on you a little bit. Is that fine?
Yeah.
All right, cool. And then we're zoomed. Let's go zoom all the way in. Something else that I'll talk to you about too here with this zoom in with the B10X and the B10X Plus, which is kind of interesting. So I'm just going to pull this up a little bit just because it's in my shot. Good. We're good-ish. There we go. Perfect. So let's go 1, 3, 2, 1. So that is zoomed all the way in. So we're using a lot less of the modifier. You can see that the shadow is very prominent, which is cool. We're getting a really cool hard light out of our softbox, essentially just turning this thing into a giant reflector. So now let's zoom this thing all the way out. It's all good. Cool. So we're now zoomed all the way out. We're going to be utilizing, so this, when you're zoomed all the way out with this, this actually throws the flash head past the front of the light. So it's, again, it's firing and covering the whole thing. All right, let's rock, Kate. Okay. 3, 2. So now we have a beautiful, nice, soft light that just kind of jogging back and forth. So you might have, you did, and you're kind of elbows, and your elbows up a little too high. One more time. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Cool. So let's just nix this guy right here. So you can see just between the two shots here. So that is your softer light shot right there. You can see that the shadow is starting to feather out quite a bit. It's 3 foot octa. It was about 5 feet away from her. But again, really, really diffused. Actually, I think I totally missed focus. That was awesome. Should we just do that? Yep, let's just snap one more. I thought I tapped the screen, but I think it was hanging on from that previous move. There we go. Oh yeah, there goes my autofocus. Well, come on, Chris, just tap the screen. 3, 2. Let's do one more time for safety. 3, 2, 1. There we go. All right. So we come in here on the face. We have a nice soft shadow under the nose. Really, really smooth and even. Something that you would expect out of a nice soft modifier. The light's giving good coverage. You go here to the harder light. We're getting a lot more contrast. Did I miss focus here? Man, I am just a focus misser today. Let's see, or maybe.
Wait, do you have like 12 projects going on right now?
Yeah, I've got there might be a lot of stuff happening. So right here you can tell we even though I'm slightly out of focus, we're getting a much more well-defined shadow. I mean, you can even see here the brim of the hat as well as the top of it. So we're getting a really hard light. I'll take the shot again just so we have a clean one so you can see it. But just looking here, I mean, you can see here across her arm the definition that's being created from those the harder light. It's really, really cool. And again, you're getting that out of a softbox, which is just awesome. The fact that you can really play with that. And one of the things I like, and I'll flip this around and show you, with these new 3 foot softbox, or like the new Profoto softboxes, the collapsible ones, I really like the finish of the interior. Let me do this. I really like the finish of the interior. It's got kind of like this highly reflective, almost like Mylar feel to it. I just like the way that the light reflects out of it a lot, especially when you're using it like this. The RFI stuff has more of a pebbled finish, which is fine, but something about this just feels a little more highly reflective. I just kind of like the way that it points, especially in that hard light mode. Before I change this for us to go direct and indirect, let me take that hard light shot one more time, just to have it. And then that way we can do we can double down on the comparison at the end, and we can actually have more of a couple samples.
From that of a parabolic.
So this has nothing to do with a parabolic. So a parabolic modifier kind of gathers all the light and throws it out in a straight beam. It's actually, with a parabolic, you have to be pretty precise where you point it. This isn't asking for precision. What this is allowing you to do is take your light from more of an indirect mode to a direct mode with your softbox. The upside to it is not only can you go indirect, but you can vary the position and the amount of the softbox that you're actually using for the shot. So if you wanted something a little more punchy, a little more light output with it, you could zoom it in some. If you wanted it to be a lot smoother, you could zoom it all the way back out. So it's not a parabolic at all. It's just a light shaping tool to take your light from direct to indirect and then give you some optionality between a harder light source by zooming the light into the modifier or a softer light source by zooming the light out of the modifier. And then again, what we're going to do here in a minute is we're going to throw a diffusion panel on the front of this so you can see it with the diffusion panel. So let's take this hard light shot, we'll throw the diffusion panel on, and then we'll flip to a direct light and we'll be good. I'm going to do myself a favor and get rid of those. That's perfect. Here we go. Let's 3, 2, lean towards me just a hair. That was more than a hair. Go, there we go. 3, 2, 1. Lovely. Just double check for focus since apparently I'm on a hot streak today. Oh, super sharp. Perfect. So I'm going to zoom this out a little bit. So one of the things you have to pay attention to when you're zooming this light out to do it in an indirect mode, especially if you're going to use a diffuser, is you don't want to push the light too far past the edge of the light or the edge of the softbox, because your diffuser panel probably won't go around it. So pull this down just a hair. Yep, you can check for questions real fast. So just so everyone knows what I'm doing, I'm putting a diffuser panel back on the front. The light is still firing indirect into the modifier, so it is located now inside the softbox.
Okay, let's see. So Tom is asking, Chris, does the Zoom rod fit in its combo stand if you remove the baby pin screw?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Because I mean, the pin is riveted in. You have to get rid of the rivet. I don't want to tell you to do that because I'm telling you to take a rivet out of the baby pin. Wait a minute. Oh, no, I know what you're talking about. No, I'm an idiot. Yeah, yes, it does. It does fit. Apologies. Yes, this does fit into... My bad. Yes, it fits.
The answer is yes.
The answer is yes. The answer is yes, and the second answer is I'm a bonehead.
Yeah.
Wow. I really started talking about could you drill out a rivet onto the thing.
You need a cup of coffee now.
I need a cup of something. I need a cup of something today, everybody. All right, let's do this. So we're going to take the shot now with the diffusion panel on in more of an indirect softbox look. 3, 2, 1. Oh, hold on a second. We're going to make sure we have focus again. 3, 2, 1. Wait for that little box to show up for the light. So that's beautiful. Again, just looking at the photo, you can see that there's no real big no hot spots because the light's firing in and back out. There was quite a bit. I could hear the power increase go up quite a bit, probably by a stop.
Cursor is right over there.
Oh, gotcha. We're having a cursor situation.
Yeah.
So now let's fire this in a direct method. I'm going to try to keep my light stand right where it is. Now, every time I look at that baby pin adapter, I'm going to think about how much of a bonehead I am. Okay, we're going to put so I like to take the stand adapter when I'm using this. I like to take the stand adapter off the B10 or the A2. So put the stand adapter back on. It's cuts down. It's not heavy, but it just cuts down on a little bit of weight, a little less bulky. So I like that. So you don't have to. It's just something that I like to do. Now I will say this. One of the things I was talking about that's interesting with the B10X and the B10X Plus. So here's the B10. So if you kind of look at them side by side, obviously one of them is bigger. Cool. One of them is bigger. Battery positions in the exact same spot. What something like the Plus is going to allow you to do in the Zoom Rod is get it further into the cage. So let me show you this. So you can actually get the light further into the cage than you can with the B10 because it hits the battery on the B10. What that allows for is you can actually get this light closer to the center point of the softbox, giving you a little bit harder light. So that's one of the things that I do like about the Plus over the 10. It's not a huge difference, but it's a difference, and I have to say it. So now that the cage is off, we can unsnap this. And just for the record, the baby pink question that I fudged a second ago for everybody, what he's talking about is, here, let's go to the side camera. You can actually remove the thumb screw from right here, and this can actually be set down into a baby receptacle on a light stand. So, Chris Bonehead, you can even see you have a flat, I don't know how easy it is to tell this. Try to get it into the light so you can see it. There's a flat groove right here for you to actually tighten down into and it not come out. So womp womp.
Parabolics has a similar device to the Zoom Rod kit on their Instagram handle. Wanted to know the similarities to that, if any.
I've never, to be honest, I've never used one. I didn't even know that they had something like that. So I couldn't speak with any type of authority and tell you what the difference on something is. I can just tell you the features of this one. Apologies. I just don't know. Cool. We got that locked in place. Perfect. So now let's throw a B10 on the stand. I'm going to throw my center layer of diffusion in as well.
Just bouncing around all over the studio.
Is that what someone said?
No.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm flying all over the place. That's just you.
Observation.
That's just your internal observation. Yep. So one of the things I do like about these new soft boxes is they have these, the inner diffuser has this like really handy clip. I actually like that a lot better than the Velcro setup with these things. So something to think about if you're removing the center diffuser with this. Any other questions while I'm threading a diffuser?
Let's see if I get any at the top.
Probably not. It's, you know what, the cool thing about this is it's a pretty simple, I mean, other than demoing what the light looks like, it's a pretty simple concept as far as that modifier goes. The cool thing is it allows you to turn any softbox indirect. So if you want like a big, huge, like I said, 5-foot indirect octa, or you want something like the 4x6, which is one of my favorite softboxes to begin with, but I always had to break out like a D2 and I didn't always want to do that. Now I can just use it with my B10s, which is, I mean, honestly, I kind of prefer. And I can do it in an indirect method, which is really, really nice. So it's one of the things I like. But again, one of the big things is just being able to use all lights with all soft boxes. It's really nice. Let's see. Cool. We are in direct light mode. Make sure we don't have too much creeping out. Cool. We're ready to rock and roll. All right. So now for everyone, what we're talking about earlier, so when the light was going into the modifier and shooting back out, that was indirect. This is what we're talking about with direct mode. So the light is mounting straight to the light shaping tool and shooting straight through it. Just if anyone needed a little bit more clarification on that. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Lovely. So let's see what we're looking like on the different lights here. Let's go command. Let's go full screen. Cool. So the first two images here and here, these are, let me kind of get myself over here a little bit. These images here are the shot of the reflector that I first missed focus on, but less important, no diffusion panel on the front of it. So we're actually just purely using the finish of the interior of the softbox to bounce the light into and send that light back out towards the subject, in this case, Kate. So we're sharp, which, makes me look a little bit better than it did earlier. If you saw the beginning, ignore that part. But we have, really nice shadows. Now, I'll say, because this is something that we were talking about, because the interior, at least of this 3-foot Octa, is more of kind of, I don't want to say a mirror finish, because it's definitely not a mirror finish, but it's got more like that Mylar reflectivity. You do get some interesting shadows and highlights with the shadow on the subject. That we'll throw the 5-foot Octa here on here in a second and look at that as well with it zoomed in and zoomed out to see if we get a smoother shadow. My guess is with the pebbled finish, we'll get a little bit smoother shadow. This, because of that kind of high reflectivity, is giving us kind of some interesting details in the shadow. Not a big deal, but they're there. As far as the softness on the subject goes, though, here, let's zoom in here. It's really soft. So the fall is really good. You can tell here with the kind of the dress shadow, that line of demarcation, it feathers out nicely. Really soft on the face, good coverage, really beautiful light source. So here you start getting into the harder light. This is where we took the zoom rod, we zoomed it all the way in so the light is closest to the center of the flash head. What that's going to do is going to utilize less of the modifier, in turn giving us a more hard light. But we're still shooting it through a large light source. What does that mean? So we're getting more definition here on the shadows. Again, you can see the brim of her hat, you can see the top of her hat, but what it's doing for us is, because it's still coming out of a larger source, we're getting some direct information, but the feathering of the edge is substantial because the size of that light shaping tool. Again, we're still getting some nice specular light. We're getting some really sharp lines, some really cool details. It's really punchy. Let's zoom in a little bit here. I was about to see if I can coax it into doing what I want it to do. Just try to get it relatively even. You can see it's a much more contrasty image. A lot of that's going to be from less light bouncing around the room. A lot of it's going to be from it being a lot more direct. Here you can see the shadow under the nose. We have a much more defined line under the nose here than we did here. Super soft, even though it's still got some of the crispness that you would get from a silver modifier. I mean, look at the highlights on this, like right there on the cheekbones. Is really, really cool. So we get into this shot here, the next small shot that you see there. We're going to look at the shadows first. Much smoother. Why is it smoother? Because we've put that layer of diffusion over the front of it. Diffuser simply takes light and makes it more even. That's what a diffuser does. It doesn't make it softer, it makes it more even. So, if you have a light that's this big and then you put a diffuser that's this big over the top of that light didn't get any softer. The light coming out of it just got more even. So something to remember with diffusion. So we have a lot more evenness on this nice soft shadow here. The cool thing to think about is that light's not pushed all the way out like it is here on the image where we're zoomed all the way out with the light shaping tool. Here, we're zoomed about halfway because we have to leave room for that diffusion panel to go over the front or else it wouldn't go, or you'd get light leaks around the edges of it. So we're using less of the softbox on the inside, but the light's bouncing around and then it's illuminating this diffuser and sending it out. So something cool to think about. Let's zoom in here. Come on, there we go. Sometimes the pinch works, sometimes the pinch doesn't work. There we go. So here, softness-wise, still really, really nice. We actually do have, and I'll explain this a little bit more too here in a second, some more of the reasons behind it. We actually are getting more information, more of a shadow here under the nose with this setup. It's two different things. So flip over to I'm on a camera. Cool. So a B10, for example, where did I set here we go. You can just leave it there. I'll come back. So a B10, for example, you see this flat front head and you're like, oh, the light comes out like this, right? It's just coming out in this direct light, but it's not. So the main beam is coming out something like this, but the light is actually sending light out 180 degrees. You are getting some stray light because it hits the reflector this way and shoots out that way, hits the reflector this way, shoots out that way. So you're getting light from the edge. When we talk about beam angle, we talk about, what is the angle you get from here to here before you lose a stop of light. Once you lose a stop of light, that's your beam angle. So what you're seeing here with this shot, where we're getting very little light over the underneath the nose, it's a couple of things. One, we're definitely using more of the softbox because we've got the light well past it. So if you look at the front of the light, it's past the front edge of the softbox when we're zoomed all the way out. The other thing is some of that stray light is hitting my white walls and the white window coverings and stuff like that. So it's acting as a tiny room fill. So something to think about. But it's just one of those things you need to keep in mind while you're using this if you're using it in a mode where you don't have a diffusion panel. Also, because the light is not all the way pushed, is not pushed all the way back because the diffuser needs room, it does have a little bit more of a contrasty feel to it. Still really, really nice light though. We have a nice line of demarcation or a nice feathering on that line of demarcation right there, which is kind of cool. Again, if you go back here and look, we have a much, much sharper line with that zoomed in shot. And then let's go direct. So actually, let's do back out here real fast and look at the difference between direct with diffuse and indirect. So
can you drop the other two images?
Oh yeah, we can drop the other two. Oh yeah, let's just do. That's a good call, Kate. Look at you.
I just can't get them all in. I'm trying.
That's all good. So these two images right here, this is, and what we'll do is I'll also pull back up the softer images to show you the indirects with a traditional setup with a softbox. So looking at this right off the jump, the indirect feels a little bit more contrasty. Again, I believe that's because the way the light is hitting the center of the softbox and shooting back out. We have maybe a hair more definition here on the shadow. That could also be light position. I took the light out of something, changed it just slightly, and I may not have nailed it when I went back up. That could just be light position. But I would be remiss if I didn't say it looks like we have a little bit more shadow detail here. Again, still feathered, very, very soft. Here, it's not quite as contrasty. You can see that we're not as dark here as we are here. Again, that could be the characteristics of the light. That could be light placement. I'm going to lean towards characteristics of the light. So just something to keep in mind. Let's kind of go down here to the arm. So the shadows, not super contrasty. You definitely have some contrast. Obviously, we're going to have something like that anywhere that there's a line where a shadow can form. Here, it just feels a little, it feels more contrasty. It's probably a little bit harder to tell on your screen than it is with mine, but we're definitely a little more contrasty here. I'm trying to see, let's go up to the face and the nose and see if I see anything. Let's zoom in. Let's zoom in together. Sorry, Kate, you're up close and personal with us. Cool. Shadow-wise, they're not terribly different here under the nose. Both nice and soft. Again, feels a touch more contrasty here. My guess is simply because, again, that light's bouncing in and we're not pushed all the way out utilizing the full portion of the softbox like we could be. And then the direct softbox is going to give you more of that direct light. So you're going to get a lot more light going straight forward. So we have a little something blocking the light here. But for the most part, they're still quite beautiful. The indirect does have a touch more punch for me, personally. The direct softbox, they both look beautiful. I would say if you're looking to, at least in this scenario in my studio, let's talk about kind of where we were space-wise. So light from Kate, about 3 to 5 feet. Kate was about 3 feet from the background. So not a huge space that we were working in, the actual photography portion of it. I was probably 10 feet away. This feels like it softens up a little bit more, or I wouldn't say, here, let's go back to the nose shadow. I wouldn't say softens up anymore. The shadows feel the exact same for the most part. This feels less contrasty. Now, I'm not shooting in a black box to decipher whether or not some of this is from reflections. They are both hitting the diffusion panel on the front. So in theory, they should roughly be sending light out in the exact same manner as far as like out to the edges and hitting things. So I want to make sure I make that clear that those two are there. So really, really cool stuff. I mean, they're all beautiful, but it just shows you that simple changes can make a light look very different. Here, let's go back to this one. So here is that, here's the light without the diffusion panel zoomed all the way out. So we're still getting a nice soft light. I mean, if we go here to the nose shadow again, like what we were talking about up close, I mean, look how much softer that is. And again, I believe a lot of this is probably from room fill. And then I also think that we're just using, I mean, it's out past the softbox. It's using every single inch of that softbox. It's really cool. This is interesting to me that we're getting the softness that we're getting out of this. It's very, very cool, especially over something with some more diffusion. Now, again, we have that interesting background, something to think about, but that's due to the finish of the softbox. Now, I want to do the same experiment, zoomed in and zoomed out. Let me just make this point, and then we can you can ask me a question. I'm going to put the 5-foot oct on there while I'm answering the question, and we're going to do the zoom in, zoom out, and see if we get kind of that same shadow detail that we get with the 3-foot with more of the smooth finish. Go for it, Kate.
What kind of light stand do you use?
So I have a bunch of different light stands. This light stand is an Avenger. It's called the A5043. I like it a lot, especially for something like this with the zoom rod that I need some counterweight if I'm using a heavier light modifier. My other favorite light stands are like these rollers over here, which is the Avenger. Where are we at? Avenger something. It's just an Avenger roller, like my thing with my tether table on. It's a small Avenger roller. I love those. And then I have the stackable, the 1005Bs or something like that. The stackable Manfrottos. I love those a lot too. So those are kind of my go-to light stands.
Does the big umbrella do the same effect?
Big umbrella does do the same effect. So you're getting, and the cool thing about the umbrella is you can actually zoom it in and out. You can actually go closer and further back. So the umbrella does do the same effect. This thing, the cool thing about this is you can still use things like your grids and stuff like that you can use with your softboxes. So if you already have softboxes and you don't want to buy a bunch of umbrellas, you can now make your softboxes indirect. You can still use your grids and stuff like that. So you have some more things to play with. But the umbrella absolutely, especially the deep umbrellas that have that kind of that more scooped out shape, they absolutely allow you to zoom the light closer and further away. The white interior umbrellas do it. They don't do it as obvious. It's not as drastic of a change because a white finish is generally much smoother. And it's much more forgiving. The silver finish, on the other hand, will give you a lot of that same effect. So you can zoom it in really, really tight, you can pull it back and use more of that material. And the silver finish umbrellas have more of that smooth, shiny finish that you would see here with this flip open softbox. So you would probably get some more of that, some more of those like kind of interesting shadows where it's not quite the same shape as the subject because the light's kind of coming from a couple different directions, if you understand what I'm saying. But very cool. Umbrellas absolutely do it. Good call out.
Judging by the addition of the word small to Zoom Rod Small, I'm assuming there will be a separate large one for the modifier. You're
assuming by the word small that there will be. What you're not thinking is that there already is. So the Zoom Rod Large is what you get with the soft zoom reflector. It's been out. So if you have a soft reflector, you can use that with the soft zoom rod. You can use the larger zoom rod with these things and still get that. The big difference is going to be that you here. I would climb up behind me right now and grab mine, but it's like up there, and I don't want to. We can talk about it another day. But the big difference is going to be you have more length here. So if you have to get up higher to the ceiling, what that's going to do is going to keep you from being able to zoom in or out depending on how close you are to the ceiling. So it can be a little bit of a hindrance. And a lot of the times you don't need that distance coming out with a softbox. That's why the small one exists. But yes, the Zoom Rod Large is already in existence. It's been there for almost a year now.
It says, right, I had no idea that could be taken out. Thanks for answering.
You got it. But yes, the Zoom Rod Large is ready to rock and roll if anyone has the soft zoom already. Cool.
Nice. So that's all the questions I see for right
Cool.
now.
So all we're going to do here is throw the 5-foot octa on there. I want to see it with the pebbled finish, with diffusion, without diffusion. So we're just going to slowly make our way around here before I destroy my laptop. Would be terrible. Oh, here's something to talk about. So if you're using this with like a D3 or a Pro head, for example, you might ask yourself, okay, now there's a cable. What do I do? So you're just going to fish it back through the back here, through one of these panels. What I like to do, here, let me take this off so I can kind of show it to you. Yeah, I have a cable to show you. I'm not going to pull the Pro head out, but I'll at least show you how I do it with the cable. Just flip this over. Diffusers everywhere. And I know that the sound of Velcro on a microphone is just lovely. So we're going to do this quick zoom in, zoom out experiment, and then see if you have any other questions, and then bid you adieu until next week. Next week.
And if you have other questions, please feel free to contact us. I'll throw the handle up.
Yeah.
If you'd like to.
So here's the power cable for the D3, or here's the power cable for the Pro pack, for example, but just pretend that it's for the D3. So what I would generally do is if I'm going to send the cable out, I like to go up higher and let it rest across one of the ribs of the softbox, like one of the higher ribs of the softbox. What that does is it doesn't put any tension, it doesn't put as much tension on the Velcro here. And so you don't have to worry about it ripping open and kind of like stray light going to the background, especially because the light's shooting indirect. So the light would go straight through if you needed to be in a more controlled environment. So it's just something to think about. I would keep that cable up towards the top. Cool. And now, the thing that makes this so cool, being able to use the B10 in a huge modifier like this. Any other questions?
Would it be on cam 1, or would you like the side?
I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to move my laptop and everything out of the way so everyone will be able to see everything. I just want to make sure we were good. Cool. Let's get Velcroed. You know what? There we go. Perfect. Lovely. Lovely. All right. So we have the cage on the front. It's got the 5-foot octa here. Again, you can use any light. Get my B10 that I set down somewhere again. Here we go. You ready to rock, Kate? Let's do it.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it.
I am all.
So we're going to do both. We're going to do zoomed in, zoomed out. And I'm not going to worry about the diffuser for this one. I just want to show the pebbled finish and how that's going to affect the background. Cool. So let's go upsy daisy. Other cool thing about a 5-foot octa, very, very forgiving, very soft light shaping tool. So here we are zoomed in. Are we zoomed all the way in? No, I've got some more room. There we go.
See if I can see that. Just fine. Great.
Yeah. Cool. Zoomed all the way in. So here we go. Pull focus. 3, 2, 1. Very, very cool. That's actually really neat. I can't wait to talk about that a little bit more. That is really beautiful light. Zoom this all the way out. Cool. Just turn it just a hair so it's here. Here we're using the whole modifier. 3, 2, 1. Very, very pretty. I'm gonna do one more zoom in because I was kind of feathered off to the edge a little bit. I just want to see what. Yeah, I just want to make sure we're right on the money. But still, that light was really interesting. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, so interesting. Cool. Let's show you this real fast. Actually, I haven't shot. Can I answer a question real quick? Yeah, sure.
I've used a B10X with that 5-foot RFI. The stand mount did not enjoy it. Oh.
Yes. Yeah, the stand mount did not enjoy it. Exactly. And that's one of the things that this alleviates. So let's do this. And you know what? Even though I was off to the side a little bit, I have a little bit more. Let's just go here. So let's get this.
Someone is also saying they would love to see some shots taken into the modifiers to see.
Oh, you want to see how much it utilized? Yeah, I can do that.
Is in there.
So here's just to kind of show you the example. First and foremost, this is the 5-foot octa versus a 3-foot octa zoomed all the way in. As you would expect with a larger light source, you're going to get more coverage. But this is such a cool, like sunlight daytime look with a softbox. You're getting some definition here, but it's got a nice feather to it. You kind of see there's a little, almost a double shadow there, way smoother. And you can tell here there is a little bit of a double shadow, but a lot of that artifacting from that smooth finish, that pebbled finish gets rid of. So that's going to be your big differences between a smoother finish and a pebbled finish. But that is a really interesting light. If we look here, let's go to the face and to some of the shadows on the face. Man, this thing is so cool with the 5-foot octa.
Yeah, it's amazing.
A lot of this again is going to be light bouncing around the room, but it's still a big light source. It's still the light is still bouncing around inside the light source, making the source big. But we do have a defined shadow, but the contrast is so low. It's out of one light, that's a beautiful light. I'm impressed by that quite a bit. It's maybe a hair more contrasty for you on the screen, but man, that's really nice. I'm really excited about that. So
I'm interested to see if the flat lights fill the modifiers to the edges.
Yeah, let's see. So let's go to, we're just going to talk about these images real fast, and then we will go and compare that. So I want to make sure I have my soft light shot up here, and then we have the zoomed in shot here with the 5-foot octa. So with the 5-foot octa zoomed, or I'm sorry, not zoomed in, zoomed out. I want to make sure of something real fast that I say this correctly. So, so here's something with the 5-foot that you don't get with the 3-foot. So I don't know if they can kind of see this. So with the 3-foot octa, this light was well past here. So it was like the front of the light was like here on the edge of the softbox. So the smaller softbox allowed the edge of that B10 to get further out past the softbox. So what that does is it's going to let some of that light leak around and fill the room. So if you look at this shot again, you can see that we have a little bit less contrast with the 3-foot octa. No diffusion. So let's go here. If we look under the nose versus the 5-foot. Still nice soft light. We still have a nice soft shadow here. Nice soft shadow here, but we have more contrast out of the black. Or not out of the 5-foot. I was going to say like the black interior. That's not a thing. But we're getting a lot more contrast because we're not getting light out past the edges. So something kind of cool to think about. I didn't realize that it wasn't going to go out that far, but it does.
Thank you for bringing up that point.
Yeah, that makes good. So now let's fire the light into the modifier. We'll do it with the 5-foot octa, and then we'll do it with the 3-foot octa, and we'll see what it looks like. So let's go. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for the suggestions. Appreciate everything. Appreciate every single one of you guys. I love you to death. I really do.
Yeah, this is fun for us. We enjoy
Let's go here.
Appreciate the question.
Yep, love the questions. So this is zoomed all the way out, at least with the Zoom Rod Small and the 5-foot. Here, let's just for giggles, because you still have the ability to zoom the light inside of the light shaping tool. I'm going to zoom it out, because if the goal is to fill the softbox, we should give it the most opportunity that it can get. So, and I need to back up some because I cannot see the inside of that thing all the way. Here, let's do this. Sorry, we got to make some adjustments. 5-foot octa is quite a large modifier. Quite a large modifier. So let's get back here. That should get us in the zone right there. I could change lenses, but I'm being pig-headed. I just don't want to. Here we go. So here is zoomed all the way out. The test is to see if we fill the modifier. 3, 2. not bad. Let's put a diffusion panel over the front of it. Oh, that would be not good. What am I hooked to? There we go. My lav mic hooked up. So let's throw the diffusion panel over the front of it and see how even that is. Might have to zoom it in just a hair, depending on how much slack I have in this diffuser. It's feeling like I'm gonna have to zoom in a little bit. Yeah, we're gonna have to zoom it in. Here, let's do that. I'm gonna zoom it in just for a second, get the diffuser set, and then we'll zoom it back out to as much as I can zoom it out by. Cool. I know this is high entertainment value stuff here, just kind of building soft boxes, ripping off Velcro and microphones, all that good stuff. But I do appreciate y'all hanging and doing these experiments with us, because this is radical. All right, we're set there. Cool. So I'm going to push this out just a little bit. All right, I hear it with a little bit of tension on it there, so that's good. Cool. So we're pushing on the softbox diffuser out a little bit just to kind of get the light out there a little bit more. But let's see how it handles that. 3, 2. That's not bad. I am using TTL, so it's doing a little bit more of an exposure there. I feel like it was a little under. Let's go about a half stop, or a stop and a half. So we're a little hot in the center there. Cool. You start to fill it out, but it does have a little bit of an edge to it. Still quite nice. Let's do it with a 3-footer, because now I want to see it with the fact that it can actually go out past the edge. I'm actually really interested in that.
I'm sorry you already mentioned, but does it work with the 3-foot softbox?
Oh yeah, that's what we're about to use it with.
All right.
About to use it with a 3-footer. So it works with every single softbox we make except for the OCF. The reason it doesn't work with the OCF is you can't get the front diffuser off. It's sewn on. It was done because the OCF stuff was kind of made as a quick setup tool, and to have to worry about diffusers kind of defeats the purpose of being quick. So it's not removable, but the new softboxes have the removable front, and it absolutely works. Just large softbox. I'm glad I didn't break out the 4x6 today. That would have been an absolute mess.
It kind of shows how tiny our studio is.
The studio's not that big.
Like that.
It's not that big. Oh yeah, and I still have a diffuser kit inside here. Also, the nice thing about this one, there's no Velcro to make this super terrible sounding.
Just making sure everybody's awake, you know?
It's like 52 card pickup, but with diffusers. There we go. Cool. 3-foot octa on. Again, the thing that's cool about this is the light's actually going to go past the edge of the softbox. So that in and of itself is interesting. So we are well past. We're probably 3 to 4 inches past the edge of the softbox. So I'm just gonna go in a little bit because I have the room to work now. Let's see. Perfect. 3, 2. Does a really, really good job filling the softbox up. That's again, some of the things that you're gonna see are the that kind of like that Mylar effect that you would see out of Mylar. It's got more, the texture allows for the light to kind of reflect around a little bit more. But if you look here to the edges where the light's making it, like it's light to the edges. Some of it too is probably going to be, let's see if I can angle it down a little bit more towards me, towards my camera. Take one more. See how that looks. Again, I think a lot of that has to do with kind of the finish of the material. I mean, I guess I was pretty even though if I think about it, because the back of the light's pretty straight on. So I'm gonna roll with that. I'm not gonna take another shot.
That's great.
But it does a good job. It fills it up. Let's just see what it looks like zoomed all the way in, so you can see how much of the softbox it doesn't use. And then one of the other things, like I was saying with the B10, you can actually push that in closer with the X, or no, I'm sorry, not the X, with the plus, and use even less of that modifier.
Has
So
pricing been announced?
yeah, no, everything's announced on it. It's if we I mean, if it's on the website, the price should be there. If you just go to the Zoom Rod Small, it should be there. Off the top of my head, I don't know it. So you can see you get a much more defined hotspot in the center there with it zoomed all the way in. But like we were saying, the light is still going to bounce around the reflector. So it is starting to taper off towards the edges of the softbox, giving you, again, that more pointed light source coming from the center and straight back out. But you're getting extra light bouncing off of all of that stuff, which is really interesting. So, yeah, I think we kind of tackled everything.
Yeah, it's good.
Feels like we did.
Thank you for all your questions,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thanks for the questions. We're going to talk about the Zoom Rod Small again next week, and I'm going to show you an interesting way of using it that maybe you wouldn't have thought about in the past, especially with the flat front stuff. I think it's really interesting, so stay tuned for that. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to DM us at Profoto. You can DM me at @Chris Fain it's better to DM me on Instagram. A lot of the times, like if you hit me up on Facebook Messenger, like it throws you into the request and I miss it just because it doesn't tell me I have a request. So it's just easier to DM me on Insta. But yeah, shoot me a question if you have anything. We can talk about it. Zoom Rod Small, I really love it. I use it a lot. I've had it for a few months. It's a really, really fun modifier. Again, being able to use it on something like my 4x6 rectangular softbox, which is, again, one of my favorites, especially when it comes to making window light. Love that thing. And so I can use it with my B10s. I don't have to worry about the modifier creeping down. I used to with my D2 and the cork. It would get so heavy over time that I would have to actually take an extra like little monopod and kind of jam it into the speed ring. Just cork's not the best, at least for heavy modifiers. So this is really, really nice for me. So any other questions before I sign off? Because I'm about to say peace.
Everybody's saying
Cool.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you guys so much. See you next week for a cool hack with this bad boy. If you have any questions, again, DM me. Have a good one, everybody. Peace out.